Welcome back into the building. Welcome back into the building. Make sure you give this video either likes or a thumbs down, whatever you prefer. We're talking about Destiny and Angry Man. It's part 2 on our conversation of the collateral world shifting collision of two cultures, black and white. White manosphere, black manosphere. If this is your first time here, I want to encourage you to like the channel, share it on your social medias, share with your friends, share in your daily work conversations, share, because the conversation of the topic today is protect black women, and it has to do with Angry Man and the black manosphere. It has to do with the manosphere. It has to do with women of all races, to be honest, but we talk about protect black women here because it's a concerted effort by black men to attack black women, and not in no other group or race of women, irrespective of everything that's been going down. We're going to talk about Austin Holloway. Make sure you're later on the stream with us. It's going to be like 8 or 9 p.m. Central Time. We're going to talk about the passport bros. We're going to talk about Brazil sending these guys death threats. And we're going to talk about black men continuing to make themselves look bad as we talk about the discussion with Angry Man once again and Destiny, the professional gamer turned YouTube/red pill debater, philanthropical type of utopian guy. Destiny. I want to thank you all for watching and sticking with the channel. I want to thank Organic Black for being the best mod in the building. I want to thank everybody that's been supporting. I want to thank you for letting me know about the audio on the last live stream. Let's go ahead and dive right on into this and get into it. We're taking off from where we picked up at, where we left off. We're, kind of just continuing to sail in the air on this conversation. We left off at the 51-minute mark. I did turn the audio down, so hopefully it's a lot better for you. And we're just going to get right on into this. This is Destiny and Angry Man continuing their debate. Title of it is Black Women Ruined Everything. Destiny gets into unexpected debate versus Red Pillar.
And then you ask them, well, where are you looking? And they're like, well,
now, where we left off right here, I believe this was actually the section of the part where they were talking about where are you looking for women? All right, where are you looking for women? So that's where we're leaving off.
I've tried Tinder. I've gone on Bumble. I've gone on Hinge. And it's like, okay, do you go to a church? Do you have a community of conservative friends? Have you been involved in any political or community organizing? Because especially in the black community, right? Women are the backbones of all of these things. And if you're looking for conservative people and you're in those areas, you'll find them there. But I feel like people aren't setting themselves up in a conservative lifestyle. If you tell me you're looking for a conservative woman and you're not part of your local church, Jesus, that's the number one place to start, right? Because these are where, off of churches, are where all of your community building activities are going to stem from. Every church has a bulletin board where people are doing things. A lot of churches are involved in community outreach. You can volunteer. You meet a ton of people this way. But people aren't willing to go out and look for it. Yeah, but I feel like in terms of that type of advice, I never hear red pillars talking about that. It's always the sexual marketplace and high value men are these things you have to do to exploit the dynamics of the evolutionary psychology of women so that you can fuck as many women as possible, and that's why you gotta be 1%. And that's the message I hear over and over and over and over and over.
And to be fair and honest, that's literally what got the Passport Bros club blew up right now. Pause. No, I didn't mean to offend anybody right there, but that's literally what got Austin in a lot of issues, a lot of trouble, death threats put on his life, is that these guys focus solely on sexual conquest with women, and they make it their priority in every single facet of life. It's not healthy to do that, A, but B, these women that you're subjecting have fathers, right? Brothers. I forget who I was listening to. I think it was Tanya TKO that was speaking about the Passport Bros and how it's dude, you're going over here trying to make a certain group of women look a certain type of way, or trying to give off a complimentary type of effect by saying, oh, they're a lot more amicable or willing to be sexual a lot more quickly. But if you're a brother or if you're somebody like that, you wouldn't want these types of guys looking at them in that way, right? And so at the end of the day, the red pill hasn't truly been anything that's been actually constructively criticizing or actual constructive criticism for men or really women at all, other than just blunt force trauma over the head, right? Through the bloodshed of Fresh and Fit or whatever it might be. That's what it is.
Over again, rather than look up your local archdiocese, start going to your church every Sunday, and when church ends, everybody's chatting with each other because that's what they do. Sometimes the priest or whatever will come out and talk to people, and you just talk to people and you meet friends that way. That's how you organically grow out a group of friends. But I don't hear that advice ever in the manosphere. I never hear that.
I hate the reason why you never hear that in the manosphere is because the biggest hoes usually go to church. They're usually the most promiscuous. They're usually the most trifling.
I I don't know if there's any way to actually verify that, but I've been to church a long time, and I'm sure there are probably women in there that are not that conservative, but I don't think that the most promiscuous women are in the church. I think that the most promiscuous women probably aren't in the church. You know, like, I don't know, are OnlyFans models going to church every Sunday? You know what I mean? It's a very stupid, illogical way of thinking, right? And I'm not trying to say that OnlyFans models don't go to church. Most people don't go to church, to be quite fair and honest with you, but I think it'd be very stupid for me to sit in that building and show you the video that I showed you last week and then quantify somehow that because of modern day society, the women who are sitting in the crowd are the majority of the most sexual ones in modern society. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. It should be the opposite, right? It should be the opposite.
Like, guys wish it was that easy. They could just go to church and find a good, wholesome girl at church. They can't. That's usually where the worst ones are at.
On average, do you think the women in church are going to be more promiscuous?
The comments are crazy. Just look at the comments if you're able to watch it too.
Or like women that are like at a bar or a club?
Bro, they do the same thing.
So every woman everywhere, there are no more conservative women.
They're twerking. They're twerking in church. When you look at the black community, the vast majority.
Now, this is a very important wording he put in there. He said he brought up twerking, right? He brought up twerking because Angry Man's a black man. So once again, his perspective and everything he speaks on is coming from the area or the point of view or the lens of a black man inside of America. And this is not something that a lot of white men can truly connect with because these are two different cultures, two different worlds, once again, colliding under the guise of the manosphere, the black manosphere and the white manosphere colliding under the guise of make men better, make men greater, make men this, make men that. But we see black men at the very bottom of everything in every single hierarchical structure as far as education, money, finance, whatever it might be, we're at the very bottom, right? So he's having this discussion and he starts bringing in his reasonings for why you're going to see the most promiscuous women in the church. And one of his reasonings is because you see women twerking in the church. Now, again, I haven't seen any women myself twerking in the church. I'm sure that the videos of Angry Man and the videos that he's talking about as far as the twerking in the church is concerned is probably an extremely viral video because it's an oddity. So let's go ahead and break down what makes a video viral, right? A video goes viral when something that usually doesn't happen is captured on film, or when something that's extremely violent or something that's extremely horrifying or horrific, something that's extremely talented or somebody that's extremely talented, whatever it might be, those things that are anomalies inside of our society and our day-to-day lives are what end up mostly being the videos that go viral. Or it's like something extremely stupid. It becomes like a meme, right? Like that little dog, the little long-nosed dog. I did it for you. I don't know if y'all have seen that little long-nosed dog meme. It's really bad right now. It's bad on it, especially Instagram. It's crazy. And Twitter. Twitter's crazy. What do I do for you? So the oddities become the viral videos, but what's happened now in the red pill and in these different discussions and debates is that the viral oddities become the normalized norm. Right? So they'll bring the most oddity or the most odd or the most kind of like supercharged situation happening that might not happen that much, but because it goes viral, it's then normalized or substantiated because it's got a lot of views. Well, if you think about what makes, once again, something viral, that doesn't work in conjunction, right? So if something happens all the time, if you see somebody walking down the street, that's not going to be a viral video. Why is that not a viral video? Because we see a lot of people walking down the street. If you see someone twerking in church or twerking on the piano organ, that might go viral. Why? Because most people aren't probably twerking in church on the piano organ. So
of the men don't even go to church anymore. They've checked out. And the reason why they checked out is because of the ridiculousness that's going on in the church. You got the Baptist preacher actually having sex with women in the congregation. You've got women actually twerking in church. You've got the single mothers sitting on the front pew of the church. Like, the church.
Now, this is all classic black manosphere logic and reasoning right here. The single mothers, the pastor always preaching to. This is all black manosphere. So when Destiny, who I believe he identifies as a red pill guy, is listening to all of this stuff right here. This is classic black men complaints about black women. In reality, it's nothing that has really that much or anything to do with their own personal lives and afflictions, but somehow they tie their issue of black women existing into their own existential crisis themselves as black men, right? So you say, oh, the women are all over the church with the children, twerking all over the church in the pastures. He's almost painting this grandiose picture. If you were a foreigner listening to the story for the first time, you would think if you came to America that black women in most churches are going to be twerking on the churches and then going crazy while the pastor's supporting it, right? Just like a lot of foreigners listen to these types of conversations or listen to American conversations and they think Americans are all shooting each other with their guns. That's literally what foreigners think that we're doing. And I'll show you really quickly. And this is, once again, why the Manosphere is so dangerous, right? This is why the Manosphere does have so many eyes on it. This is why the government is going so hard on the Manosphere, because they see the impression that it's going to be giving, and it is having a life or a world impression. The Passport Bros is a version of the Manosphere that takes the red pill discussion to the world, and it mainstreams it, right? So now the world knows about all of this, but once again, from the outside looking in, it's a people are like, it's very interesting, right? So if you just look at this, there are some videos here, and a lot of these videos are actually people that are in the UK, and other parts of the world, but maybe they just don't have guns as much. But the title of this one right here is "Why Are Americans So Obsessed with Guns?" Right, and it's by the Huffington Post. I think I watched that one a long time ago, and if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the people in the video are like from UK and stuff like that, but they literally think that if you go walking down the street in America, you're going to get shot by like a criminal or something like that at any given time. And don't get me wrong, you very, very well could, but it's not as bad as the media makes it out to seem. The media would make it out to seem like everybody's dying, right? Just like Black Lives Matter. Media makes it out to seem like niggas are dying by the millions by police. $1 billion movement was started by less than 30 niggas getting shot by police in 2019. Less than 30. It was like, I think it was 12. We looked up the number. It was 12 black men got shot like in like 2019. I kid you not, y'all. 12 black men got shot. Now look at this. This video is called America's Gun Problem Explained in 90 Seconds, right? So a foreigner sees this video right here. Let me explain the Manosphere to you and why it's so dangerous.
It's not enough.
Now, it's going to paint a picture, yada, yada, yada. By the end of the video, if you're watching this and if you just don't know about guns or anything, you're going to watch this and be like, oh my God, this is really bad. Wow, I thought America was the best country in the world. I thought we were going to America, yada, yada, yada. Your perspective starts to become skewed based off of what you see being normalized online, right? Now, it's not to say that you shouldn't absolutely be safe 100%. It's not to say that there's not danger, right? But the critical function or the critical piece of information that's missing is that it's actually good to carry a firearm, and that even though danger might be presented to you at some point or another, it's way more beneficial for you to have your own firearm. And the statistics and the numbers show that countries where the citizens are armed most likely have higher GDP, higher earnings as a whole, higher everything as a whole when the citizens are armed legally, right? As a whole, more countries that are armed end up doing better because they have more freedoms typically, right? Now, that's the opposite or the inverse of this. So, yet again, if you were to watch from the outside looking in, and you're somebody who lives in maybe I don't know, just a different country where they don't have as many rights, yada, 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 you would say, oh man, America, man, it's so bad. The Manosphere is almost the same way. It's not to say that women don't have issues. It's not to say that that certain discussions don't need to be had. I'm not saying that we don't need to probably put in some different psychological background training things going on in the gun discussion. I'm not saying that we don't need to go ahead and make things a little bit tighter as far as maybe the certain age groups that can get certain types of calibers and bullets and things like that. No, I'm not that fanciful of a person to not understand when there might be a problem. But the bigger problem at hand would be losing our complete autonomy as civilians in the United States of America. The other problem at hand that's far deeper than the small number that you might be seeing as being normalized by one political faction or by the manosphere, the bigger issue with black men continuously talking about black women and 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 black women, and we're going to take away your guns, and we're going to take away your guns. We need to get rid of the 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 guns. We need to go. Black women, they're so bad. Black women, they're so bad. The bigger problem, once again, is that it takes away themselves, right? What do I mean by that? Black men have an ability, and people have an ability to, thank you for the super chat. So what do I mean by it takes away itself? I have to kind of break this down a little bit for you. I'll get to the super chat in 1 second. When you always identify, the problem that's yourself, you're never actually taking the time to fix or solve the problem that you complain about. And in this case, black men complain about black women, 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 black women. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and just keep it there. Go back to the guns. Guns, 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 guns. How much money is in mental health? Zero. How much money is in actual good, competent background checks? Zero. Red flag laws don't do anything. So when you complain about the gun laws, but you fail to actually provide a substantial solution, the complaints end up becoming a part of your undoing, and you start to identify yourself with the movement of complaints. You understand what that means? Because you focus so much on the complaint versus actually what the true problem is, which is a cultural problem, which is a people problem, right? Which truly isn't a problem as much as you like to think it is for 330 million people. Less than 12 niggas getting killed, right? Less than 1,000 people, or maybe, 14,000 people got shot by the police, but less than 1,000 were questionable cases, and then the number goes by even. The numbers are way small for 330 million people. It's 0.00000. But the issue, once again, is the magnification of such a small number. Why are you magnifying or feeling the need to magnify the deaths of 12 black men by the billions of dollars? Why is there a need to do that? You need to look at the agenda possibly. What's the agenda? What has always been the agenda of black men? I don't know what the agenda is. Most black men don't know the agenda either, which is why we find ourselves exactly in the position we are now. However, it seems that finally black men have collectively decided that the agenda for them should be to continue to attack their own, and for them to put out propaganda online of just how bad black women are. And if you don't get correct, if you don't find your passport, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, then eventually this good old country, this good old submissive woman, this good old thing that we once know as America, or as the 1930s or 1940s or 1950s black woman, will be gone. So they use that fear, doom, and gloom, and if we don't get these guns off the street immediately right now, you're just gonna end up killing each other in the streets. Pro-lobbyists have a stranglehold over, so look at Ted Cruz looking evil white man with the rifle. Evil white man, you see that? They have an ability to just twist and skew and twist and skew. And that's exactly why the manosphere is so fucking dangerous. When you're 12, when you're 13, when you're 14, when you're 15 years old, and you don't have a father like 75% of black kids don't. When you're 12, when you're 13, you're 14, you're 15 years old, and you don't know what the answer is to this question that you might have. You don't have a father or male or anybody of masculine guidance. You're going to go online. You're going to look for the most normal concept of information that you can find. No matter how sensationalized it could be, you'll attach yourself in your identity to the sensationalized piece of that normalcy, because that is now your new normal. And as you continue to dwell, you continue to learn, you continue to divulge further into that new normal, you'll continue to lose yourself. That's the problem with the manosphere, and it starts at 12, it starts at 13, it starts at 14, and now it's starting at 8, it's starting at 9, because these kids are on TikTok as well. I see we had a super chat. The super chat isn't displayed in the chat, so I'm sorry about that. Was it a Cash App? Okay, Angel, we're not seeing that super chat, but I want to thank you, Angel, for that super chat. Also, y'all, if you can donate on Cash App. Our handle is Truth Seekers, TruthSeekers. No E at the end. We have a PayPal link. It's all in the description box. Let's continue on with this video, shall we? Make sure you come back tonight also for our live stream that we have talking about the Passport Bros. It's winter, and it'll be cold and frigid tonight. Hope you're enjoying this. Make sure you leave a like. We need to get the likes up. Leave a like on the stream. Leave a like on the stream. Leave a like on the stream. It's free to do, and I need you to do that. Thank you for everybody that's been sharing this stream. Here we go.
Especially in the black community. I can't speak for the white community, but in the black community, the church.
Let's go ahead and pause it right here. Let's rewind it.
The single mothers sitting on the front pew of the church, like the church, especially in the black community. I can't speak for the white community, but church, like the church, especially in the black community. I can't speak for the white community, but
now, Angry Man at that point knew he had to separate himself from the white community because he is not a white man. Now, it wouldn't be an issue if he was perhaps Asian and spilling or saying this message. But you know what an Asian man wouldn't do is talk about Asian women en masse. Now, it wouldn't necessarily be an issue if he was a Mexican man, sitting or spilling this perspective. But you know what Mexican men don't do? I don't know if I've seen any major Mexican Manosphere content creators. And to be quite fair and quite frank and honest, because I know the next race is obviously white man. Well, truth, what about the white man? Because it's the white manosphere, right? Obviously, they talk bad about white women, right? And to your credit, I will have to agree for the most part on that. So I can't conjure up any type of magical intellectual answer to, subvert your expectations there. What I can say, though, is that when you speak about power, right? When you speak about authority, when you speak about leverage, when you speak about control, part of the benefit or ability or part of the side effect of having or keeping a certain level of power in America or around the world or in the galaxy at some point or another, intergalactically, is that you get to make the rules. You get to say what you want to do and do what you want to do so long as you have the power. Well, as long as the world's armies decide not to go ahead and bomb against you, right? You get to do what you want to do, and white men control the world. So when they speak about things from a certain perspective, when white men speak about dating and women and marriage and all these other different types of institutions inside of America, they're speaking on it from a different element or from a different perspective, and that is one of control, right? And it's also the element of control for black men too, but it's from lack of control, whereas white men speak from opulence of control. They have the money and the control they don't want to give up. Black men are speaking from doom, shame, blaming, and explaining because they want to take control that they don't have. So two different versions here of the white and the black manosphere yet again.
Where are all of these single moms coming from?
Where are they coming from?
Yeah.
Well,
if the church is fucked because it's all like single moms and people like, it seems like it takes two to tango, right? Like it can't just be all on black women,
well,
right?
Actually, no, it does. Actually, no, it doesn't take two to tango. And the reason why is because what's going on in the black community is you have a large group of women that are actually having sex with multiple men, having children with multiple men. You actually have twice as many women in the black community have children as the men. Twice as many.
Yeah, but why is that?
I don't know if that's actually the case. But we'll look up that statistic, so we'll find out. Maybe it's once again perhaps to a certain age, because they always say, oh, only 20% of men have kids, and 80% of women do, or 80% of women go for 20% of men, but 80% of men have a child by age 40. Like across the board, all races. Mexicans lead at 81%. So
community have children as the men. Twice as many.
Yeah, but why is that? There are some cities where there's like 3 black women for every 1 man that's not in jail, right? Depending on the city that you live in, the availability.
All right. There's 3 black women for every 1 black man that's not in jail. Sheesh.
Ability for some of these black women to even find a guy. The competition is fierce.
There's a number of factors. The competition is very fierce, and there's a number of reasons for that. Number one, we have a small percentage of the population. Black women, last time I checked, outnumbered the men by about 3.
Dog, imagine being a black woman and being in the most competitive dating market for the least competitive men. Boy, that's trash, bro. That's trash right there. For the men that are like competing against you. It's very competitive. It's very competitive dating for us. It's very competitive. Oh, you have no idea how competitive it is, Destiny. Bro, what?
Planned Parenthood. In our community, they actually go to Planned Parenthood to the tune of 367,000 per year. That's 1,000 every day. So that already right there, you have a lower population of just black people in general due to that. In addition to that, there has been an issue with mass incarceration thanks to good old Joe Biden with the 94 crime bill. So you have a lot of brothers that are locked up. So that diminishes the amount of black men as well. In addition to that, you have the cultural problem of black women not being very easy to get along with and not being easy to cohabitate with. So you have black men who seek relationships outside of the black race, outside of the country, with the passport bros, with SYSBM, all of those different things. So then you end up with an even lower amount. And what happens?
So we see how it went for the passport bros, which we'll be talking about here in a few hours. But let's go ahead and go and rewind all the way back. I'm not going to touch too heavy or too deep on the Planned Parenthood thing. But Planned Parenthood wasn't started by black women, right? It wasn't started by black women. So I'm just going to leave it there. That's all I'll leave. That's all I want to say about that because I don't want to say too much. His second point, black women are harder to get along with. And to that point, I say that I think that at a certain point, when you deal with niggas for so long, you just start to really like give up hope. I'll be honest, bro. Like dealing with you niggas it's horrible, man. Like niggas are horrible, Out of every 100 niggas you have, I'd say 93 of them are trash. When I say trash, no morals, not trustworthy, no good character, doesn't understand emotional responsibility, doesn't understand, family or communal values or responsibility. This is where your community ends up getting a large percentage of the backbone from is from the leaders, right? The guys, right? And I painted this picture as far as the women not being agreeable. Like black men expect a dandelion in the war-torn environment, right? You expect to have a rose grow out of Blackistan. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. The reason why in other countries, and get this, even in countries where there's less economic advantage than there is in America, it might be that the women are still in a better quote-unquote, well, we know, right? Because obviously they're in a less economic advantage. So when these guys go over there, right, they seem and they think, make sure you come back in a few hours for that live stream. So it's not necessarily that they're nicer per se, but let's just assume that they are nicer women because of whatever it might be. Would that not more be a reflection on the state of the community? Would that not more be a reflection on the state of the nation that they live in? The quality of life that they have? You see, whenever there's turmoil or stress or anything within your home, you're going to feel it. Whenever there's something on the outside of your walls that you have to walk into, that's going to follow you right into the inside of your wall. This is why workplaces and job places often say, leave your personal stuff at home. Don't bring your personal relationships into work, and don't get into relationships at work. They do that because they want you to effectively separate the emotional boundaries between your job and your home. Because when those start to get blended, it starts to become very hard to separate and perform at a certain level that life or your employer needs you to perform at, right? So your environment shapes so much of the way that you think, the way that you operate, and the way that you live as a human being, not to mention how you identify yourself. Well, for the race of men that literally don't even know where they came from, for the race of people who we don't know where we came from, tracing ourselves back to doing the same coon-ass bullshit 5, 6, 7, 800, 1,000, 3, 4. Who knows how long niggas have been cooning and killing themselves off and staying at the very bottom at this point? Yeah, you know what? The women might be a little fed up, right? People might be a little fed up. Black men are fed up, black men. everybody's fed up of black men. A long time ago, I did a live stream called Nobody Likes Black Men. It's actually on the profile still. Go back and watch that. I think it's got like 14 or 15,000 views. So you can sort it by popularity, and you can watch that live stream there, right? Just go to live on my profile, and click sort by popularity. It'll pop up. And there's part one, part two, and part three. Part one's about white women. Part two's about Latino women. Part three's about Asian women. And in every single culture, we have people of all cultures pretty much saying how, yeah, when I was a kid, I was told don't bring a black boy home. And this was the norm for my friends. And this was the norm for their friends. And this is the norm for their community. And it went on and on and on. And the reason why I pulled that up is because it was a way for me to prove the point that black men don't really know who they are. They don't identify with anything other than degeneracy. And so as a result, the black community often follows the same leaders or lack of leaders that have been leading. But until now, black women are starting to become the earners and the head of the households and the business builders and the grant getters and the education. Right now, black women are starting to become the forefront, which is why you see this mass uprising of black men acting as if they've been like performing, like fucking killing it for the past 500 years. And this is why Angry Man had to make the distinction between separating himself as a black man aside from the white man, because we haven't been killing it for 500 years.
Is you have sisters, you have black women out here that are more prone to deal with what people call the women out here that are more prone to deal with what people call the Pookies and the Ray Rays, and they'll go out here and they'll have kids, they'll have children with 1, 2, maybe even 3 different men. And the reason why that is because it's been incentivized by our government. Unfortunately, a lot of these women are doing that in order to supplement their lifestyle with welfare, food stamps, child support, all of those different things. There's a bunch of different factors that weigh into that.
Okay, for whatever we want to blame black women for this, black men are just as culpable, right? We can complain about the mass incarceration from the 93 crime bill all we want, but Joe Biden doesn't make somebody sell weed. Joe Biden doesn't make somebody carry an unregistered firearm. Joe Biden doesn't make somebody a gangbanger. Like, these are choices that are still being made, that are being made by black men that fuck over black women in the community. And I think that the cultural problems stem from a lot of the kind of like dysfunction that goes back and forth there. I don't think it's fair to blame black women on everything. Like, we can talk about like food stamps and welfare.
Now, what you're hearing right now is how a leader, and I'm not saying just because he's white, he's a leader, but I'm saying what you're hearing right now in this case is a cultural identification problem. How do white men culturally identify themselves? White men culturally identify themselves as providers, as traditional, patriarchal, power controlling type of individuals, and so they dominated the control of the world. They dominate the control of the economic system. They dominate the control. They're said and they're thought and they're expected to be, and they train their children to be leaders, right? In certain cases, not in every case. I'm just saying the general culture of what white men teach and how they hierarchically structure themselves in their communities to continue to win is they teach them to lead, or they teach them to care about their community, or they teach them to give back. So they always make sure that they're giving to themselves, right? So what he's talking about right here is the typical patriarchal, or toxic in some cases, some feminists would say, mindset that the man is responsible for providing, protecting, and securing. It's going right back to the traditional basic forms of relationship. The difference is they're in a position to do so a lot of the time because they control most of the wealth in America. Well, when we control less than 3% of the wealth in America, we're not going to be able to be in the position to be providing. So that's already out of the window right there. So from the stance of blaming black women, the reason why black men do that a lot of the time is because they're not in a position to be able to provide. So they expect black women to lower their expectations or to lower their goalpost, to lower their quality of life, or to lower whatever it might be to be able to, for them to be, as a man, to be able to feel like they can provide. And if they can't do that, then you're toxic masculine as a woman. Then you're now masculine educated as a woman because you can provide for yourself, which providing was typically thought as masculine. That's how white men see providing. And it's not necessarily that it's masculine, it is masculine, and it can be masculine when a man provides for his family. It's not masculine when a woman provides for her family. That's called surviving, right? But when a man's in a position for being able to provide for her family, and the woman may not have to work, but she might just work part-time, but she doesn't have to work, or maybe if things happen, she's still taken care of, that's when it becomes a masculine type of act, because she's then going to start walking in her femininity, and she's going to start, when I say walking in femininity, I might get canceled for that, but she'll then start giving you that submissiveness. Watch. Okay, don't keep your woman home at work. Try make enough money eventually and keep your woman home. I guarantee you she's going to change a little bit, right? And I'm not saying that she's going to become a better person per se, but wouldn't you become a lot different of a person if you didn't have to fucking go to work too? What the fuck? Bro, when I quit jobs, I feel like I can live again, yo. I used to quit jobs and be like, man, I feel so fucking good. Woo! Fuck, I feel good. Like, for real. I used to feel so good. I hate working. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hate working, bro. But you know what I like? I like looking at my girl and her being like, everything's cool, and she's like, oh, and she just kind of walks away, and she'll just kind of whatever way, knowing that everything, will be good, or that I got some kind of plan together. Like, that feels good. As a guy, it feels good. It feels good to give, provide. It feels good. That's dope. You feel masculine. You feel like a man. You feel like you're doing what you're supposed to do. You could say it's simp, you could say it whatever it might be, but half of y'all, if you're not simping for your woman, you're gonna end up paying for prostitutes in Brazil or paying for prostitutes. Yo, it's bad. Yo, this is really bad. Yo, you're going to have to come to the live stream tonight because it's bad. Peso Man already covered something else we're going to be talking about. One of these passport guys is like literally a corn bar. That's all I'll say right there. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing adult. If that's what you want to do. It's bad. It's really bad. Winter definitely came for the passport bros. Winter came quick for the passport bros. What the fudge? Winter came hella quick. Make sure if you're enjoying this live stream that you donate to contribute to the show to keep this show up and running. We need your contributions more than ever. We've been shipping out soap bars. We've been shipping out serum. We've been doing all of that right there, but you can still go and get your own bottle of serum today. This is the Unicorns and Dragons unique, signature, 100% natural, life-changing body experience. That's right. You get in the shower, you will be singing with the unicorns. That's not even possible, but I tell you what, head on over to gotserum.com and the impossible becomes possible. Impossible. It might be coffee time. You see me sipping coffee right now. I wouldn't lie to you. I'd never lie to you, on the honest truth. You go to gotserum.com, you can get you a coffee bar. That's right. It's coffee time somewhere. Coffee time for me right now. Shout out to that last coffee bar order that we just sent out.
I don't think it's fair to blame black women on everything. Like, we can talk about like food stamps and welfare and all that too, but that exists for black people and white people and every other type of person in the United States. But it seems like the black community has like a special problem with it, right?
Well, hold on. No, when we're talking about that, there are things that are very specific. Okay, one book written by
oh boy, nigga. Well, niggas always bringing up stats, education, books. Boy, nigga reads a book. You can't be the least educated and start to bring in stats. That's why I don't let any of y'all start bringing in these stats and all these other different types of shit. No, negative.
What is her name? Elizabeth Hinton, who I think went to Yale. I think she's a professor in African American studies.
So what we're gonna? I hope he's quoting her from like a. She's wrong about this type of stance. I hope he's not using a woman to justify his logic right now.
At either
a black woman,
Yale, or I think Yale, if I'm not mistaken. She wrote From the War on Poverty to the War on Crime, and she pointed out through her research, right after you get the 65 Voters' Rights Act, you actually have a overhauling of the criminal justice system, where they started.
So wait, Angry Man's using a black woman right now to justify. You see what I mean? Like, bro, you can't be, y'all kill me. Fuck y'all.
Policing urban areas more heavily. This is right after the Industrial Revolution, where you have fuck black women,
But in 1965, a black woman wrote a paper that told you that police, the white man, was fucking over niggas just like
people migrating into the urban centers. You have them policing them more heavily. Okay, you actually have what is the equivalent of today billions of
black women. But shout out to the black woman that wrote that.
Dollars funneled into that criminal program. I forgot the name of it, but the purpose was to create probation officers, all of these different things to create a revolving door in the criminal justice system, which has affected the black community significantly. So yeah, it's wrong for any black man to go out here and commit crimes and do things that he doesn't have any business. But it has been historically proven over and over again that black men have been disproportionately targeted by the criminal justice system, especially with particular crimes. When you have certain narcotics that black men get a harsher sentence for, whereas other groups of men might get a slap on the wrist, or even worse when it comes to unaliving somebody. More often than not, when a white guy.
All right, let's just. All right, that's what you call a run-on sentence right there, right? So I don't know what exactly he's going on and on and on about, but the victim type of deal, right? The black men are the biggest victims in 2023. Even after Black Lives Matter and everything like this, in 2023, black men still feel like the world is really out to get them, you know? I don't know if Angry Man's putting up a front or if he's being genuine or really, I don't know. It's really hard to tell. I mean, I didn't think Angry Man was this non-intelligent of a person, but the way he's talking and rambling it's like he's a kid, man. It's like having a conversation or watching a conversation between a teenager and a man, you know? Which is crazy because Angry Man is probably, age and a half, 1.5 times the age of Destiny, I'd estimate. This is a 40, 50-year-old type of guy, you know?
Goes to jail for unaliving somebody, they end up getting a manslaughter charge as opposed to second degree or whatever degree or whatever. Now, I'm not trying to play the victim Olympics. I'm just stating the facts. Like, any of this can be looked up. The research is out there. Yeah, so it's not not just that black men are just like, oh, we're going to go to prison or whatever. Like, right around the time that they overhauled the welfare program in 65 and 66, you see a rise in single parent households. You had a number of things that occurred that affect that. You had the emergence of the prison industrial complex. You're just coming out of the Vietnam War, which a lot of black men lost their lives to that. And now you have this welfare program where if you have a man in the house, one of the stipulations is you don't qualify for those particular things, which is unfortunate because during that time you had
all right, Jesus Christ,
who have been incentivized. But there is a large percentage of black women who have been incentivized to have children out of wedlock. They've been incentivized to utilize a system that they know benefits them. And they do this on a regular basis.
Okay, just as a quick,
on a regular basis.
Do you really believe that there's like people out there that are like, I want to have a kid so I get welfare?
Yes. I don't believe it. I know it. I don't believe it. I know it.
Why do
I know my culture?
Why do black women do this, but not white women or Indian women or Asian women or other people?
Well, I don't know if white women do this or not. A lot of white women on welfare too. I can't speak for white women because I'm not part of that. I'm not part of that culture, but I know what I grew up around. I've heard the conversations amongst women. I've heard the things that they've said. One of the issues that I point out in my show, which is a real issue during the time where Gen Xers were younger and you had the boomer parents, you had this switch, like you talked about earlier, where the women started going into the workforce more and going to get their education more. Well, one of the things that happened is a lot of the boomer women would use their daughters to help them with the housework. So when mom goes off to work or whatever, her daughter is helping raise the siblings. And what I've had a lot of
Okay. Oh, fuck. Hell, this is crazy. All right, let's go ahead and address the having kids, and we'll address it, and we'll kind of explain it, or I'll give my point on that side. Do women, or black women, having children expeditiously solely being solely under the guise, or solely thinking that it's because they're going to be able to make a living off of welfare, whatever it might be? I think that Destiny brings up a good point, in that it'd probably be women of all races that have obviously done that, right? Have black women done that? I'm sure there's black women that have done it. Have white women done it? I'm sure there's white women that have done it. Have white and Asian, or Asian and Latino? Yeah, I'm sure there has. If the number is higher in the black community, then that would make sense to me, because there's less resources in the black community, right? So if we were able to actually study the number and figure out quantitatively how many women had a child purposely for survival, then if the number was higher that more black women did per 1,000 studied, whatever it might be, because obviously there's way more white women than black women, then one of the estimations I would feel would be because there's so little resources in the black community. Whether or not you tie that to a black male problem or to a black guy problem or issue, I don't know. But aside from that, the other issue in the bigger problem with this level of logic and reasoning is that, let's fast forward into 2023, because the Manosphere likes to stay stuck in 1989 or 1979, or whenever the crime bill and crack hit the streets. That's where the black Manosphere is stuck. Whenever crack hit the streets, that's where black men are stuck at. 90% of black men. Crack. And Ronald Reagan, right? So, 2023, women are having children less. Women are going to get more educated. Women are starting families later on in their career. Things have changed completely as far as dating goes. Things have changed so much that men are now forming by the millions groups online to talk about how much dating has changed. In black women's cases, black women have gone from being the most literally oppressed group of people in America to the most upwardly mobile group in America, building more businesses and graduating at a higher rate than every group or race of their competitors, right? Black women are the most upwardly mobile race of people right now in America. It's black women. But what are black men, and what are they complaining about still right now as we talk about the upward mobility of black women? Black men, like angry men, are complaining about the upward mobility of black women and them not necessarily needing a man. So we say something all the time on this channel where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? If you decide to go ahead and wait till marriage, you might not be able to experience what a good pleasure is. You might be called prude. You might not have enough experience to make the guy stay. On the other hand, if you get with too many guys, then you're going to get held with your feet to the fire because you're not a virgin. On one hand, if you decide to keep the child, then it's going to be a problem because guys don't want to date single moms because they think that they're somehow a part of an elite group of, human. And I understand, once again, your reasonings. If you have the reasonings, I get that. We're far past the non-dating single moms type of deal. It's far past that now at this point. But if you decide not to have the child and he finds out that maybe you had an abortion, then that could be something that's used or held against you. And once again, your feet are to the fire, depending on which floor or which side of the moral authority ground or bed he wakes up on, right? So you're either going to be held with your feet to the fire like Angry Man, because Angry Man just a few seconds ago was talking about black women aborting, right? Black women aborting children so much, and Planned Parenthood and this and that. So it's a problem when they abort the child, and it's a problem when you have the child. Now, the greater or the bigger answer that they'll then say is, well, okay, black women take more responsibility for having the child because they're the ones that are going to raise the child. They're the ones that are going to be around the child and still the initial, and then they have to bond and breastfeed, yada, yada, yada. And it goes right back to what Destiny said at the beginning of the argument, or the beginning of this entire debate, which is it, or does it take two to tango? Are black women just having the children by themselves? What about the guys, and why are the guys never fully held accountable for creating their part in the baby? Irrespective of whether or not the mother actually bears more responsibility because she takes care, she has that initial parental or maternal connection with that baby, irrespective of who actually has or bears more responsibility in that space or in that example, men are always going to bear and carry the burden of performance. This is something the Manosphere speaks about all the time. At least the white Manosphere speaks about all the time, because that's when I heard this term, the burden of performance. The burden of performance is something that the white Manosphere spoke about a lot of the time, and that black men who do earn a decent amount of money can kind of understand. And this is where they start to get behind the Manosphere and enforce, because if they're that type of guy who's now seeking to be the traditional burden of performance type of dude, then more than likely, and they're a part of the Manosphere, then more than likely they're looking for a good amount of things out of a woman, right? A good amount of things. Hence why you see so many dudes that end up getting and making a decent amount of money, leaving their community completely, right? Or maybe it's not so many, but they feel like they just don't have or owe anything, or they don't have to go back and build. There's no need to build up the community or to create the next level, right? No, it's kind of just vominos, right? Vominos type of deal. Now, hold on a second. We'll go back to this really quickly for a second, and we'll continue on. Oh, I was gonna say something else. Damn. Oh, well, okay. I don't know what else I was gonna say. I was gonna say something, but I can't remember. So let's get back to this video. I think I rewound it a bit too much.
If black women are choosing to get pregnant for the welfare and all that shit and child support, none of these women are getting child support then, if there's one guy knocking up like 30 fucking women, right? So why would they even do this? Why would they make these choices?
And so going back to this welfare thing, welfare is not that much money, right? Especially in 2023. There's nobody having children for welfare, okay, in 2023. If it was the case, and we'll go ahead and just lend itself over to the case, even if this was the case back then, if it would have happened, it was because there was a need for it to happen, right? And because and I don't want to say, I guess I won't say it like that then. I'll just say that if it did happen, if that was the case, that there were a large amount of black women that were having children solely because they were able to get welfare, then it would be, in my opinion, a far more indicative problem of just how fucked up things were back then, right? That's how I see the situation. If people, and it's kind of like the passport thing, bro, right? Like if the women are, and we'll talk about this tonight. Make sure you come back through tonight, because you're gonna have to see this. But some of these people are so desperate, and when you're in such desperate positions, you are down and willing to sell. In some cases, people would say this is selling your soul, right? You think that these women want to be with these types of dudes? Like, you think that black guys are all the rage because they're black guys, right? No, that's not the case. It's because things are very bad in certain parts of the world. It's because things are in certain parts of the world, and so people have to live. People have to survive. People are going to make sure they survive. People are going to make sure they eat. You know? Why is more important than the what. Why? The Manosphere is so obsessed by the what. Women. Black women. Weave. Money, sex. Why? Why do those guys who get the women get the women? Why do those guys who end up doing this in life do this? Why do the powerful people, why do white men run the world and not black men? These are the questions that I ask myself. I ask myself why. Not what, but why? Why is this the way it is? How do I infiltrate? How do I? Why and how? Not what. Black men ask the wrong questions and they focus on the what. The rest of the world is trying to get to the stars, and black men are focused on sex, you know? Why can you not get sex? It's because you're not focused on the right thing. How are you able to become a better person? You focus on bigger things. How do you become a more desirable man? You end up focusing on getting more desirable traits, or acquiring desirable characteristics. What do you desire? Right? How is far more important than the what.
Pregnant for the welfare and all that shit and the child support. None of these women are getting child support then. If there's one guy knocking up like 30 fucking women, right? So why would they even do this? Why would they make these choices?
Because the way that system is structured, right? Even if you can't extract child support out of the guy, right? There are still numerous programs that you can get. I know a woman that had I think she has like 10 children. Habitat for Humanity gave her a house.
Yeah, but do you think that's the norm? But that's not the norm, right?
It's not the norm.
10 kids? 10 kids is not the norm.
That people are getting free houses for having kids in black communities? No, I don't think so.
That's not the norm? Okay. Look.
Well, here, I'm curious. How many... If we, and I'm not trying to like, I need like 52.8%. I need like an example.
I don't know why niggas don't act like they're the ones living in the projects as well. Now, what Angry Man might be talking about here is, and yes, you can have vouchers given to you through government assistance programs to put and use as a down payment on your first house. It's not that cut and dry and easy anymore, though. It's not that cut and dry and easy anymore. All right? You don't just get to have kids and then you're automatically going to get a house. No, it's a very, 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 very long, very tedious, very annoying, very stringent process, especially in 2023. They're not giving away houses. All right? Not like that. Now, you may be able to get yourself into a position. I'm not sure. Maybe some women can speak and chime up and chime in on this. But once again, it's simply a sign, or it's simply another level of, essentially, in this case, white men providing for black women, right? So whatever way you want to twist this and look at it, because the houses, and it's not just black women, but I say white men and black women because this is the point that Angry Man's trying to argue. Well, black women are blah, blah, blah. And black women are all, well, you have a kid and you do this. Those programs were started so white women could have somewhere to live if their husband divorced them. This is why this program was started. I'm not talking about the parental and the Planned Parenthood because I know it's a very hot topic and it has to do with Jim Crow and a lot of different types of things. But I'm speaking about project housing or housing development for mothers or the WICS program or whatever it might be. That was white people looking out for their people. Okay? So that's what you do for the women and children. When the Titanic was sinking, it was women and children to the lifeboats. Okay? It wasn't full-grown men to the lifeboats. Full-grown men had to die because that is on the white-ass Megalagon Titanic how they decided as white people to handle it. White men had integrity on that ship, so they said it's the women and the children that get to be spared. And if you're a man, you need to figure it out. Because that's just the way it is. It's not fair. It's not this. It's not that. It just is what it is. And that's the problem that a lot of guys in the Manosphere have. Now, they have a hard time with what is. And there's a very famous quote or saying. I forget how the quote is, but let me try and look it up really quickly for you. What is, ought, is, not, is. Let me see. Let's see. It's a good quote. What is not is not ought. Jeez, I'm burdering this. Well, maybe one of y'all will know, but I just saw it earlier today. I guess it's not that popular of a quote. But it pretty much was saying that you can't change things into something that you wish that they could be. It simply is going to be what it is. Whether you acknowledge, respect, or see things that way, it simply is what it is. Right.
Exact stat. But like, how many women do you think in the black community that get pregnant? How many of them, like what, like roughly, what percentage of them are just like looking for a welfare check? Like, just so I can get an idea of like where you think the scale is.
I could tell you how many are pregnant out of wedlock, which I think is a little above 70.
That's not the number. That's not the question that Destiny asked right here. He didn't ask how many women are pregnant from wedlock. You see the twisting of the game right here. He asked how many women are purposely having a child.
Like looking for a welfare check. Like, just so I can get an idea of like where you think the scale is.
I could tell you how many are pregnant out of wedlock, which I think is a little above 70-some%. But so far as their motive, that would be a little harder to pin down. Because I'm not saying that all of them. What I'm saying is that is a cultural trend. And the reason why it's a trend is because you have women that will school their daughters to do that.
Yeah, I guess I'm just kidding, because like I'm sure it's happened. I'm not gonna tell you it's
Right, and that's the problem. But once again, when the question is asked, what's the percentage? There's no answer. What's the reason that there's no answer? And think about it this way: if you're a guy and you're thinking I'm just pandering, whatever. If this was truly the majority, and women were really out there just like, you know, completely mentally dismantling their daughters and their girls by the majority standards, then he would have no problem answering that question and saying, oh, it's 80% of women, I think, are having a child purposely for a welfare check. He would have no issue answering that question. But because we know that number is far less than the majority, because we know that number is probably a small number in the theme of things, thank you, then he's not going to answer that question directly because there's no need to. It would make him look worse. If it's not the overwhelming majority and it's not meant to continue the bloodshed message or antics of, you know, women are bad online, then he's not going to answer. And he doesn't answer. If this was truly happening majority of the time, he would have answered immediately and said, oh, I think 75%, I think 85%. But he knows it's not happening majority of the time. Once again, the media, or the manosphere in this case, normalizing messages of uncommonality, of not rare occurrences, but uncommon occurrences. You see what I mean? But because they're not able to get a girlfriend, you know, or because they're having a hard time paying rent, now all of a sudden this uncommon story becomes a part of like their identity. We spoke about identity earlier. Now all of a sudden this uncommon occurrence has become a negative part of their negative identity. And a negative doesn't turn into a positive in this case. We were going to go on a bit more. We're at the 1 hour mark. So we're going to go ahead and call in for donations or Cash App. I think we got a donation or a Super Chat from Angel on the live stream. So I'm not sure. Maybe the Cash App, or I'm sorry, maybe the Super Chat's not working. It might be that it's not working. Maybe we got that demonetized live. I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to call for the offering basket. If you are enjoying this live stream, then you can send a Cash App or a PayPal on over. At the 1 hour mark, we shut things down unless we get a few donations, and then in which case we continue on the message as we've been doing. We will be back live tonight. Y'all know how I do. If I'm not live tonight, then we'll be back live another night. But we will be back live tonight. If not tonight, then tomorrow night, because we have to talk about the Passport Bros and the madness that's going on there. Because it's just, like I said, it's just... I may have to make that one for tonight 18 only, because it's going to be talking about a bit more adult instances and stuff like that. We'll see what I have to do. But leave a like on the stream on your way out. If you enjoyed the stream, leave a like. I'm going to head this thing on out, so we don't have any contributions and no donations here. You can donate offline. You can now do a super thanks. Many YouTube shorts are on the way. Shout out to everybody that's just subscribed. I will see you all in the very near future. We'll probably do a part 3 to this, because we still didn't get to the actual like upset parts that Destiny had on this debate. We didn't get to the crazy parts, but it's good because we're talking this entire thing out, and this information, this knowledge, a lot of people are going to be able to use. A lot of content creators do watch this page, so I'm excited to see how the conversation changes, and I'm excited to see that the conversation is changing on all fronts. Man, when we started this thing, you know, the Manosphere was like in like an immovable object. You know, it was an immovable object. And, you know, I'm excited. So we're going to keep these conversations going. People are fascinated, and the world is starting to listen. You know, the world is starting to listen. So if you're somebody that's new to the channel, go back and watch the tons of content. Oh, also, for people that are on the channel right now, you're going to see our old content being condensed into short formats and then uploaded as shorts. So it might be a little annoying for a while, yada, yada, yada. But to all the new people that are seeing the shorts and subscribing to the channel, it's going to be stuff that they're probably not going to watch because either camera quality or audio quality or just, it was just a different type of stream back then. So put up with it, but they'll be quick. I'll try and make them as quick as possible. Anyways, I'm out. I love you so much, and I will see you in the very near future.